The aim of art is to represent not the outward appearance of things, but their inward significance. That's a quote from Aristotle. Happy World Art Day, and let's get creative and celebrate this year's event under the theme, A Garden of Expression, Cultivating Community Through Art. Welcome to another informative and exciting Monday edition of Jamaica Magazine. I'm your host, Theodore Henry. We have news and more after these messages. Stay with us.
Good day, I'm Twyla Whelan, and this is your JS News for Monday, April 15, 2024. More than 100 farmers within the Ebony Park agri-parks in Clarendon will benefit from a steady and dependable supply of water to minimize production loss. This is being facilitated through the implementation of a $106 million drought mitigation project by Agro-Investment Corporation, AIC. The project will span 6 weeks beginning in May. It allows for the installation and maintenance of 1.8 kilometers of forced transmission, main and pump switchgear at the Ebony Park Agri-Park. During the contract signing on Thursday, Agriculture Minister Floyd Green said the initiative aimed to bring 93 acres of fertile farmland in the agri-park into full production,
which will in tandem move up our utilization and our productivity and give our farmers a better opportunity to be profitable. So this is a tremendous project to truly fulfill the original intent of the agri-parks.
Managing Director of the Jamaica Social Investment Fund, JSIF Omar Sweeney, says the irrigation system will also benefit a larger 950 acres of land that is already protected.
In terms of the beneficiaries, more than 100 farmers who are currently in this space will see to better irrigation from their crops. Such a timely intervention, contemplating all the drought conditions, not just happening in Jamaica, but across the region and the world.
The project is being implemented under Phase 2 of the Rural Economic Development Initiative and is funded by the government through a loan from the World Bank. Meanwhile, a further $90 million is being provided by the Ministry of Agriculture to offset production losses to farmers due to the impact of the drought. Portfolio Minister Floyd Green says that of the $90 million, $24 million will go towards the trucking of water to livestock farmers.
We're also expanding the parishes of focus. So we would have started with Clarendon, St. Elizabeth, Manchester and Trelawney. Based on all our information, we're incorporating now Westmoreland, Portland and St. Anne into our drought mitigation program. 58 million of the 90 million is going to go towards irrigation kits, storage tanks, drip hoses, so that ultimately when rain does come, when water does come, our farmers will be able to harvest and to use more efficiently in periods of drought.
The remaining $8 million will be spent on rainwater harvesting facilities. Minister Green is encouraging farmers to contact their parish office and the National Irrigation Commission for any additional support. In other news, the Jamaica Athletic Administration Association, J3As, has received $10 million to support the staging of the Invitational Track Meet. The check was handed over by Sport Minister Olivia Grange at the launch of the meet last week. The event is scheduled for May 11 at the National Stadium and will see Jamaica welcoming athletes from elsewhere in the Caribbean, the USA, Canada, UK and Europe.
The Ministry of Culture, Gender, Entertainment and Sport fully supports and endorses this meet, as it will allow athletes and coaches to accurately assess their current status and make the necessary adjustments to achieve the preferred results in good time for the upcoming Olympics.
She also revealed that the Ministry of Sports would be providing approximately $60 million as incentives for each member of the contingent that goes to the Olympics. And finally, Chief Justice Brian Sykes is assuring that the Court of Appeal is well on its way to eliminating its backlog of cases. Justice Sykes was speaking at the launch of the Judiciary of Jamaica's Strategic Business Plan 2024 to 2028 on Wednesday. The plan outlines policies, programs, and projects to drive efficiency in the court services.
The clearance rate was 71. That is 71 cases for every 100 cases coming in. Then the report following, it went up to 81. And then in 2022, it went up to 111. And last year, 117. So in other words, the productivity of the Court of Appeal has improved by 40% in just about 3 years. And that is a remarkable achievement.
Justice Minister Delroy Chuck says increased productivity in the courts could free up billions of dollars for the Jamaican economy. He says at least $50 billion is wrapped up in various legal proceedings currently under litigation.
When cases are incomplete and undecided, it is holding up hundreds of billions of dollars, where the litigants are unable to make decisions until the case is completed. I have mentioned, say the Administrator General, if the matters could just be completed, in excess of $50 billion of property, $5 billion of cash in the bank could be passed on to the stakeholders of these estates.
And that's it for JIS News Today. I'm Twyla Whelan. Thanks for watching.
Our nation, though small, has continuously left a huge mark on the world in all we do. Our overtures in the field of art are no different. Our nation is home to some of the most captivating art pieces. Let's flip through the pages and rediscover the history of our art.
The music often reflects what's happening in the visual arts. There are several visual artists that have designed album covers for a lot of other people like Peter Tosh and so on.
The head of the school at that time was Barrington Watson, and he set about putting in place a diploma program.
Since independence, visual arts expression in Jamaica has shifted significantly.
The story of Jamaican visual arts remains a strikingly colorful mixture. It's one that's layered with the details of artists stroking their brushes with intentionality. Some using their toothstone axes to create sculptures that tell stories of our blackness. Others whose pencils and chalks have mastered realism. And then more who are preserving elements of our historical experiences and newer issues. The last 60 years of Jamaica's visual arts landscape easily provides a fully immersive and stimulating experience. Along with independence came a new impulse to establish national identity through different areas of the country, including the visual arts.
The visual arts in Jamaica began not very long before independence, with the return of Edna Manley and Norman Manley to Jamaica. Edna Manley was herself an artist. When they returned to the island, she is famously remembered for remarking that she saw nothing that reflected the people of Jamaica. In other words, drawings that were being done by children in schools looked like European children. And she set about trying to change that with her own work and with the establishment of a school at the Institute of Jamaica. So independence and the early development of visual arts in Jamaica coincided greatly.
This interest to see more Black representation prompted the introduction of modern art ideas from artists like Albert Huey, Milton Harley, and Barrington Watson. Education in art, particularly through the School of Visual Arts, moved from part-time classes,
offering courses in sculpture and courses in painting. They started also ceramics with Cecil Ball. So there was Albert Huey and Cecil Ball were her co-founders of the school.
introducing classes granting diploma, now with a new name, the Cultural Training Center, and later formalization by the state as the Edna Manley College of the Visual and Performing Arts emerged with the degree granting status.
We were very fortunate to have leaders in the early days and after independence who thought that developing Jamaica culturally was very central to developing the country. Both Michael Manley and Edward Siaga were responsible for the Cultural Training Center.
In that period too, the National Gallery of Jamaica emerged, displaying and celebrating true Jamaican art. Through the gallery, many of our self-taught artists were able to exhibit under the label of Intuitive.
People like Brother Brown, people like Capo. In Jamaica, we had a lot of artists who never went to school, but they could create images that had a certain emotional power.
It was David Boxer who coined the term intuitive to describe this aspect of Jamaican art, a term now recognized and used globally. He rejected such terms as primitive, naive, and folk, as he felt that there was a sophistication there of color and form that immediately challenged the very designation, primitive.
Also, in the 80s into the 90s, you began to see a little bit more of individual expression, more of artists producing artwork that reflected some of the turmoil of the late 70s and early 80s.
In the 1990s, the Caribbean region was opening up, and right along with that came a flood of Pan-Africanist ideas, which started to impact the visual art story our nation was still writing. That collision became evident in the work of popular artists such as Petrona Morrison, Stanford Watson, and Omari Ra. There was also the rise of monuments being produced from the hands of famous sculptors such as Basil Watson, Laura Facey, and Raymond Watson.
In the 2000s, you'll see more of what's happening in the diaspora and diaspora artists speaking about their own realities as well as their connections with Jamaica.
Also, Paint Jamaica's mural project took off in Kingston.
It has been the kind of cross-pollination again with the realities of the global artistic community, with people seeing the dynamism and the potential of murals beyond being a memorial, but ways to create urban renewal, ways to create environments of safety.
And our biennials continue to evolve with a changing artistic landscape.
The biennial has evolved in a way to be much more inclusive of the diaspora. So it's been reaching out in its scope, and that has been reflected in what is exhibited in this current biennial.
So that cross-pollination between Jamaicans living in different places has created an overarching trajectory of how our 60th year in the arts have come to a sort of global village in how Jamaicans are looking at themselves, both as Jamaicans at home and abroad.
As we continue to celebrate the arts, knowing your creative rights is a must. Our next feature will delve into the world of intellectual property rights.
There's a land that I have heard about.
Every piece of creative work is designed with intent and holds high intrinsic value. It deserves to be protected. Understanding the intrinsic value of the work produced and ensuring the creator's rights are not infringed is what we will learn in this masterclass on intellectual property rights. Let's go. Intellectual property, IP, deals with the protection of legal rights for the original creations of the mind. This can range from the scientific, industrial, literary, artistic, musical, dramatic, or other fields. There are three major forms of protection for intellectual property: copyright, patents, and trademarks. In this feature, the focus will be on copyright and related rights. In Jamaica, there are two main pieces of legislation that govern the protection of copyrights in general: the Copyright Act and the Jamaica Intellectual Property Office Act. The Intellectual Property Office Act outlines the function of the Jamaica Intellectual Property Office JIPO, the body responsible for ensuring that intellectual property rights (IPR) are protected. JIPO is tasked with ensuring the protection, administration, and enforcement of IPRs as a national economic growth and development responsibility. Let's learn how copyright helps to protect your creative works. Copyright is one of the more widely known terms associated with intellectual property rights. It covers the creators of works in the literary, artistic, musical, dramatic, and other design fields. Copyright makes it possible for these creators to have exclusive rights to use or authorize use of their work on agreed terms. A work is copyright protected automatically once created and must be original in nature. This principle was adopted from the International Copyright Convention, the Berne Convention for the Protection of Literary and Artistic Works, of which Jamaica is a party. Another important layer of copyright protection is using the copyright symbol to give an official notice of ownership of your work. This is done by using the copyright symbol, the date of creation, which is usually the year, plus your name or entity, followed by an optional notice such as all rights reserved. There are two main rights that are covered under copyright: economic rights and moral rights. Economic rights protect the financial value of the works and allow creators to earn from its use. Meanwhile, moral rights protect the right to the use of the work. They help to moderate the ways in which the work can be used and restrict revisions to a work. The length of time for copyright protection varies in different countries. Under the Berne Treaty, of which Jamaica is a party, along with another 180 countries, copyright holders will receive protection in these territories subjected to their national laws. In Jamaica, the protection for literary, dramatic, musical, and artistic works lasts for the lifetime of the author, plus 95 years after his or her death. Copyright for sound recordings and films lasts for 95 years from the end of the year in which it was made available to the public. The protection for cable programs and broadcasts lasts for 95 years from the end of the year when the program was included in a cable program service or the broadcast was made. The protection for typographic arrangement, such as books, lasts for 50 years from the year in which the edition was first published. All works enter the public domain once copyright ends, and are therefore no longer protected under intellectual property rights law. Musicians, actors performing a play, and a publishing or distribution company do have a say when it comes to the recognition of their rights too. Though they are not the authors of the work, they have neighboring rights or related rights. Related rights protect the legal interests of persons or entities who have contributed to the recording or creation of the work available to the public. Three categories of people are normally recognized for related rights: performers, producers of sound recordings, and broadcasting companies. They receive the recognition of a copyright-like property right protection for their participation in creating the work. Jamaica is a land known for its creative output, ranging from reggae music to art pieces.
Songwriters and musicians need to protect their intellectual property. Our songwriters, musicians must recognize the value of their intellectual property, must learn how to harness it for their wealth and the wealth and benefit of the nation, and yes, must take steps to protect their intellectual property in their own effort to secure your own future.
Section 31 of the Copyright Act of Jamaica states that copyright is infringed by any person who, without a license, the copyright owner does in relation to that work any of the acts that the copyright owner has the exclusive right to do pursuant to Section 9. The Section 9 rights, which is to copy the work, issue the work to the public, distribute the work, make an adaptation of the work, make the work available on demand, which is to make the work available on the internet. So anyone who infringes the copyright in a work can be penalized by way of a fine, depending on the jurisdiction of the court, or even imprisonment. Before 2015, people would constantly call to ask, how do I protect my copyright in a work? And the answer would be copyright protection arises automatically. And people would be like, and that's it. So we live in a society that we like to have something in our hands. And so in 2015, in response to the general public inquiries, and we have the voluntary copyright register, which an individual can deposit with us, a minimal fee, so creators can utilize this register and deposit their work. And they'll receive a certificate upon completing the application process, and this certificate can be used as supporting evidence in court should the work be infringed.
Collective Management Organizations, CMOs, are entities that enable rights holders to manage their rights and the use of their work. They act as agents for copyright holders collecting royalties, which is monies for the use of their work. They do this by issuing licenses for a fee to use protected works. They also track the use of works and request payment for its use. There are 3 active CMOs in Jamaica: Jamaica Music Society, JAMS, Jamaica Association of Composers, Authors and Publishers, JCAP, and the Jamaica Copyright Licensing Agency, JAMCOPY. Let's learn how the CMOs in Jamaica support our local creatives. The Jamaica Music Society, JAMS, is an organization that represents sound recording copyright holders, which includes record producers and record labels.
Now that you have produced the recording, you're now going to release the recording. And so you have the right to distribute. So he now finds a digital distributor or a traditional distributor, and he gets the work out. It gets placed on all the retail platforms, Spotify, etc., Rhapsody, etc., all of the retail platforms online. And if he's still fortunate, maybe he can find 1 or 2 physical locations, stores, where he wants to put some copies in if he actually makes physical copies. So he has a right to distribute. And so he goes ahead and he does that. And from that distribution that he has taken on, he will then be entitled to a flow of royalties coming in through to him via the digital distributor or via the distributor, full stop. So Spotify will send the money to the distributor or through probably several different intermediaries in that process. And the distributor would then end up paying the producer his share or her share of monies from that sale.
The Jamaica Association of Composers, Authors and Publishers, JCAP, is a membership society for composers, authors and music publishers, otherwise known as the primary rights holders.
So the most important thing in terms of earning in today's world is actually streaming, download. And we still deal with the analog side, which is public performance. So download has practically, I won't say eliminate, but has taken over from the selling of CDs. Public performance will remain because that's where we have mostly our live events. And to state that JCAP is able to collect on any form of music usage. So recorded music, live music, even music in comedy shows, etc. You do need a permit to be able to use the music.
The Jamaica Copyright Licensing Agency, JAMCOPY, is the entity responsible for the protection of rights for published, printed and image-based works.
We follow the same cycle of activity as the other 2 CMOs. We obtain mandates, meaning that we go after the authors and publishers, that they come to us and they give us the authorization to act on their behalf. We then license the users, and our users are UWI, UTech, Edna Manley, Shortwood Teachers College, all of the public primary and secondary schools under the Ministry of Education. So just about 95% of all the educational institutions in Jamaica. We then collect the licenses and then we distribute them as royalties.
It's important to learn and understand the value of protecting your creative work. Contact a CMO to learn more and get started.
Hey there, savvy teens. Let's dive into the world of money management and learn how to budget.
So X is -1 and
a number 2 me there.
Oh, so you add out, you get that?
Alicia, I know the new second-gen AirPods Pro that...
Yes, it is.
Oh, you're rich?
No, I just know to budget.
Budgeting? What she mean?
Well, my mom taught me. Like a plan for your saving and expenses, it basically keeps you on track for what you're saving for.
What?
Think of it like farming. You plant the seed today, and in a few months or even years, you reap the rewards.
All right. But oh, yeah, budget? And you no work and you not pay bills?
Well, I use my lunch money, and my parents even give me a little pocket money. Budgeting works, because I started saving for my AirPods in January, and I bought it in March. Every mickle, make a muckle.
Girl, you? Uncle that? Wait there.
Yes, girl. This is how you start. First, you track your income. These are all the money you get. Then, you list your expenses. These are the things you spend the money on, like food, snack, or lunch, or even our taxi and bus fare. Then, you differentiate between your wants and your needs. Needs are the essentials, and the wants are things like games or the latest fashion.
Well, it look like me I spend more money on wants than needs.
Well, you can fix that. First, you find a spending limit, and that is, don't go overboard. Then, you don't pass $1,000 for the week.
Well, me, I go start budget for my birthday trip on the grill. And me, I go budget for the 15 Pro Max.
You be saving for the rest of your life. Well, guys, your goals have to be realistic, so don't pass the money that you don't have.
All right, I guess I can settle for the 11.
So budgeting aside, Alicia, what you listen to?
Jerusalem.
Hey,
So remember, budget for your dreams, plan today, thrive tomorrow.
We've come to the final stop of today's magazine, but the journey doesn't end here. Tune in tomorrow, same time, on this station for another informative edition of Jamaica Magazine. If you missed any of our happenings or just want to learn more, visit our website at jis.gov.jm. From the production team here at the JIS, I'm Theodore Henry. Thanks for watching.
This has been a production of the Jamaica Information Service, the voice of Jamaica.